Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of the Grizz and Biz podcast. I am your host, Evan Shallow, and a little bit about me is I am currently a junior studying marketing here at the School of Business at Oakland University, and I have the pleasure of introducing our guest for today, Bob Broderdorf, who is now the CEO of Jeep at Stellantis. So, Bob, thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys very much. So,
Awesome.
Should be a fun day.
Awesome. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. I see here that you are a 2002 Marketing and Information Systems grad from the School of Business Administration. So with that being said, tell us a little bit about your background, professionally, personally, and maybe what led to your current role.
Yeah, so here, while I went to OU, I was actually started, my sort of internship was actually picking parts on the line at Centerline, Michigan at a parts distribution center. So that was my first entry into what was the original Chrysler at the time. Mm-hmm. And then that really led to a whole host of things. At the time, the dot-coms were exploding, and what became interesting, so there was a lot of MIS grads back then, of people that were going after it, and then really the bubble burst. Mm-hmm. And all of us were pretty much out of work, and there was no really where to go. And at the same time, 9/11 hit. Okay. So then most of the companies actually in the area weren't hiring. So weirdly, I went from picking parts on the line to I actually started working at OnStar as a phone operator, even though I had just graduated from college. Okay. So that was weirdly my first entry into the auto industry. And from there, Chrysler actually called back to work the phones and deal with people who were outside of warranty and see if we could assist them with any problems that had with their cars.
Interesting.
So that was my start into the auto industry here in Detroit. Mm-hmm. And from there, lots of opportunities began to unfold. And then for me there, strangely, once you're in a call center and you're like, I need to graduate, I need to get out of this thing as fast as humanly possible. Yep. They had an opportunity in the field, and it was a sales division where I actually got relocated across the country, and my sales career took off from there, and strangely that kind of propelled me throughout the years to get sort of this opportunity.
That is super interesting, but one of the questions that I have for you is, what exactly made you attend Oakland University?
So at the time, my father, so I was a Chrysler brat. My father had relocated a million times, and we had just moved my senior year of high school to Shelby Township. Okay. And I went to Eisenhower, and at this point, I was not interested in going away from home. I did not want to move again. Mm-hmm. And we started looking for colleges that I could drive to, and we came and visited OU and just fell in love with the campus and the style and just sort of the atmosphere, and that it was kind of just very hands-on. So for me, I think it was a perfect fit for my lifestyle. Wanted to still be near family and an opportunity to drive in. And then really from there, there was a lot of opportunities that unfolded and got involved in the social community. So for me, OU was actually fundamental to my growth at that point, and I've just fallen in love with the school ever since.
Want to know something interesting? I'm the exact same way as you. I actually went to Eisenhower myself, and I felt the exact same way. I wanted somewhere that I could drive to, stay close to my family, and make friends along the way as well. So I was in the exact same boat as you. So
yeah, for me that was important. Yeah, no, that was important at the time, and I don't regret it. I loved my time here.
Absolutely. Were you involved in like any organizations or clubs or?
Yeah, we actually, I was in a fraternity. I actually, for a short stint, went to go play for Campy for basketball, and then that was right when they went to D1, and then everybody got a lot taller and could jump a lot higher, and that ended that pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a very short stint in the bubble before it was actually, the arena was actually created right at that time. Then we actually started the hockey club. Okay. Crazy enough, which then became the team at the time. So OU at that time was kind of like really, really growing, starting to become more robust. Mm-hmm. And I think I was a part of a lot of that. So I had a lot of fun while I was here.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. So I know you are a marketing and information systems grad. What made you choose that major?
So marketing and selling was something I was always interested in. Mm-hmm. And then at the time, which it's so comical, one of the first things that they were teaching in the class, in the MIS class, was literally how to use Microsoft Office. Mm-hmm. So that's like how old I am. So
MIS
this became,
1000.
That was the thing, right?
Yep.
So you would learn that, and then the idea of being able to sell online and leverage these things was appealing to me. That sort of that ecosystem, which is now obviously exploded today, but back then that wasn't necessarily the case. Yep. So that was my interest at the time.
Awesome. Actually, for myself, the reason why I chose marketing is because actually I liked selling things as well, and thinking about why people bought things. So I kind of had the same mindset as you. So that's one of the reasons why I chose marketing, actually. And I loved how I actually was initially a psychology major because I was interested in how people thought. But then I realized I did not want to go to med school. So I decided to go the business route, but still thinking about like how people thought, but business related. So.
You and I have so much in common, man. I tell you what, because psychology is another fascination of mine. I love the way just people think and work through things, and then you kind of attribute that to sales. There's just a clear connection there that I think's interesting.
Love to hear that. So besides schoolwork at your time here at Oakland, what did you do to keep busy?
Oh God, either between playing sports, involved in the overall just the community and the school and any of the social clubs. In school, I was more than busy. And at the time, I actually then started becoming a basketball coach at the CYO level for St. Lawrence up the road. So I coached there for a good chunk of it. So that was kind of where I still got my basketball itch.
I love it.
Coaching middle school kids. So that's a good time. That's one of my passions.
Do you still do anything related to basketball throughout your free time?
No, strangely enough, right, when you have kids, you think they're going to follow your same passion. So weirdly enough, my son is now quite entrenched in soccer. So strangely enough, the one sport I did not play, he loves. And weirdly during COVID, I decided to learn the game of soccer and became basically a Ted Lasso. I started coaching soccer while I'm working in my current job through COVID, and started coaching as an assistant to a travel soccer team.
Oh, wow.
It was
You're
actually
busy.
It was busy. No, I'm definitely busy. My schedule's definitely tight. But no, it was a lot of fun. I love learning the game, but working with the kids and watching them grow. And now he's gone to a level that I certainly can't help him at right now. So
yeah. Your time has passed a little bit, but
he's way past me now. So
oh really?
Yeah,
That's
he's only
awesome.
12, so it didn't take much to get past his dad.
Awesome. So if you were to look back at your college age self, would you give any advice to yourself, or what would you say to him?
During my college career, so there's really two things. I think not being afraid to dive into things you may be interested in, like really having an inquisitive, creative mind, just to go see. It's a perfect opportunity and time to do that. Second is the networking piece. You don't realize how many people that you come in contact with that are all motivated. They're in the school of business. They're trying to get out as well, and they're going to make connections. So just having that relationship piece can set up careers and opportunities and finding maybe a friend that got into a company, because that's a huge part of getting your start. Because once you're in the door, then it's up to you.
Yep.
But getting in the door really is helpful from a connection perspective. So I think I would have purposefully gone out, built better connections, built better relationships. Most of them, they just happened by accident. It wasn't something I necessarily intended to do. But looking back at that, still some of my best friends in life are from OU. And in the business world, where a lot of us went to the same classes, it's amazing the connections that you can generate.
Absolutely. And that actually reminds me, is that why you're still here, like around the area at Stellantis, because you just love the community, or what made you stay at Stellantis?
Well, so at the time, so I've actually, we just got back here, was it 12 years ago now? So when I first was in that sales district I told you about, I got sent my first sales district. And what's funny, the company will tell you I picked 3 areas in the country that you want to go. So I picked New York, where I had met my wife. I picked Chicago and Arizona, where I had family. So I got sent to Charleston, South Carolina. So there you go. I moved to the South, and I went from Charleston to Greenville, South Carolina, to Tampa, Florida, to Orlando, Florida, and then back home, all within a 10-year period.
Wow.
So at the time, you're moving up in the career, you're getting a bigger sales area, you've got sort of more opportunity, and you just kind of sell yourself out for like, hey, I'm going to move anywhere you ask me to, do anything it takes just to get a bigger area, and that was part of what propelled me. So I wasn't back here, and then obviously an opportunity to come home came about with the Dodge brand, and that was something we kind of jumped at. So had little kids, got a chance to come home. Yeah, it was fun. So, but no, we enjoy being here, and I don't plan on leaving anytime soon.
That's awesome. So another question I have for you is, so far throughout your career, I know you have a lot going on, and you're very busy. But what would you say is one of the hardest challenges that you've dealt with so far?
Look, from a hard challenges perspective, I would say, look, if you look at my career in the last 12 years, most of the brands that I've been inherited in almost every situation was in a very challenging state. So I kind of became the Mr. Fix-It, if you will, where a brand was struggling. They needed sort of a shock to the system, get things reinvigorated. The one that I would say most people sort of remember is the Dodge brand. Many people forget that, not too long ago, the number 1 and 2 selling cars was a Caravan and a Dart.
Okay.
And now today, when you talk about the Dodge brand, you talk about Chargers and Challengers and Hellcats and Demons and crazy muscle cars that, enthusiasts really get excited about. And that was something that I had an instrumental part in that. So I think having the discipline to go from a brand that had no point of view all the way to a brand that people are rabbited about was a huge moment, honestly, for me personally, as well as the fan base, and a real challenge to overcome.
Absolutely. Wow. I do know a lot of people that are very interested in those types of cars. So it's growing very, very rapidly. I see a lot of car meets, and I see a lot of Dodge Chargers. So very interesting. But just another question that I have for you. So what's something that you experienced post-graduation that you necessarily weren't expecting, and how did you overcome that?
I think it's when you get out, right? You've had this discipline in your head down the whole time, and you're learning, and you're going to every classroom, and you're following the instruction, the syllabus, and you go through the whole thing. When you get out, all of a sudden, you realize you're completely on your own to make your own way. And the challenge and having I'll call it that positive mental attitude and that confidence that you can do it, you can make a difference. At first, it's a lonely road, and especially for me, moving across the country to Charleston, where I knew absolutely no one, and this is really like your first real big job that actually like matters that you can sink your teeth into. When you first get out there, and you're like, where do I want to live? What do I want to do? How do I want to approach this? I've never lived in this house before. It's an interesting test of strength. So I think if just the opportunity again to build connections, build yourself a pipeline of places where you can go and people that you can rely on is incredibly important when you first get started, especially to get the confidence.
Absolutely. So when you were in South Carolina, how did you deviate from, let's say, knowing that you really wanted to build your brand and working towards your career, but also I'm sure you didn't see much family. How did you deviate in between those two things to make yourself still feel happy?
Well, I think you have to just jump in. So for me, it was I became sort of fascinated, honestly, with car dealerships and how they operated. And I was very lucky that I had a group, the Rick Hendrick Group. It's like kind of the famous NASCAR like racing, team, Rick Hendrick and his auto dealers down there in the South. And they took me under their wing, and they made me feel a part of the store. And even though I didn't actually work there, I worked there. I worked at the desk. I took up. So I was really trying to figure out how this business worked, and surrounded myself with people that were into it. And then when you quickly start to learn, you're like, okay, I can make an impact. I have ideas. Can we actually sell more, do more? And quickly you got an opportunity to go for it. So I think that helped fill me up in the very beginning, and try to just immerse yourself in the community was a huge opportunity for me.
Exactly. And just knowing and connecting with people, even in South Carolina, So,
no, that was more of a challenge. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh, it was a challenge for you?
Being a northerner coming to the South, they're the nicest people in the world, but it takes a little bit to get yourself integrated into the culture, especially coming from New York and Detroit down into Charleston, South Carolina. It's just a little bit different of an ecosystem down there.
Well, I mean, I can see that you've been across the country at this point, so you've seen a lot of cultures, I'm sure.
Yeah, at least in the U.S., and then obviously more traveling outside now. So
okay, wow. Yeah. So another question that I have for you. Throughout your college career, was there a defining moment for you where you knew you wanted to pursue in the automotive industry?
Honestly, I wouldn't say at college. Actually, the two things that I remember, weirdly, it's just down the street, Great Oaks Country Club.
Okay, I've heard of them.
Yeah, that was one, right? So it's a nice country club, and I worked there for quite a while in college as well. It was sort of like my second job.
Okay.
So when you worked there, and you're surrounded by influential people and people that have had a great deal of success in life, because I mean, at that place, that's what you're going to find.
Yep.
And you quickly get motivated to, I want more. Like, I don't want to just be this. So I think for me, I remember those moments. Like, I remember how it felt, and I would do anything that it takes to try to get that opportunity and that shot. It's the same thing when you wake up at, you get there at 5 o'clock in the morning and you're picking parts on the line. It's another one of those kind of humbling moments of, okay, I need to put my head down. I need to get my college degree. I need to create opportunities because I think I can offer more. Absolutely. Those I remember. Yep. Those still drive me. I probably still have a chip on my shoulder that just drives me of just wanting to do more no matter how far I make it.
Yeah. What would you say was your point in your life, actually, that you realized, okay, I think I've had this under control, or I think I've made it to where I want to be, or have you not got there yet?
Oh, I hear. I guess here from my new role as a CEO. I mean, I'm insanely humbled at the opportunity. I mean, I understand the gravity, and to get an opportunity like this at this age or at this point in my career.
Yes.
I would say if you look back, there was, particularly like in my early 30s on that Dodge brand, when you actually create something that the world gets excited about and people are writing about, and you're like, oh my God, look at how many people are fascinated by what we just did.
Mm-hmm.
There's a level of like, no, I can do this. I can actually make a difference. I can create something that the world will actually pay attention to. And this is advice that I tell anybody. So I usually get asked to come do like the intern presentations, right? Come talk to them. And if I could go back, I genuinely believe this, like in your life and where you're going to go. So between 20 and 30, when you get out of school, you want to surround yourself with opportunities. You just want to get in.
Mm-hmm.
You want to learn everything you humanly possibly can, and chase the jobs that are going to teach you more. Make yourself uncomfortable, dive in,
Mm-hmm.
experience different parts of the business. Then by the time you're 30, you need to align yourself to a company and opportunities where, okay, you've learned some things, you attach yourself to the right people,
Mm-hmm.
and don't just chase the money. I would tell everybody this, don't just chase the money. Chase the person that will take you under their wing, that understands your talent, and they want to see you grow. They
Mm-hmm.
want to take you with them. Because 30 to 40 is where you're going to make your impact. That is in your life stage, kind of in that window. That's where you need to attack. And then when you get paid 40 to 50, that's when it will all come together.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at sort of, I'll call it the attitude of a person, when you're 20, you're so fired up.
Yeah.
You're so fired up, but you don't know anything. By the time you're 40, you're not fired up as much as you were when you're 20, but
Yeah.
you certainly know a lot more.
You've got the
So
knowledge.
that window between 30 and 40 is when you got the nice balance of, I've learned some things, I've got real credibility, I can make an impact,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still fired up.
Absolutely.
So, and then by the time you're 40, you should be teaching and growing and helping other people and leading if you're kind of looking at a trajectory of a career.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my advice to everybody is purposefully pursue the people that will make a difference in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Don't always just chase the money. It will all come. It will all come. And if I could go back and tell myself I was nowhere near patient enough, even though I've had this crazy trajectory that everybody remembers, I was still so frustrated.
Yeah.
So frustrated.
Yeah.
You know, like, why haven't I got my shot yet, you know?
Did you attend career fairs and all of that jazz?
Yeah, we started there. I don't think they were as robust as it is now. Like, I look at what Stellantis does at OU
Mm-hmm.
and the amount of connections that we have. And I think the schools, like the School of Business here, we've done so much more to connect our community to major companies.
Yep.
It didn't exist the same way. You used to show up with a folder and like literally your resume, and you would just like hand this out to anybody that would talk to you and try to get them to look at you
Yeah.
for 2 seconds so that maybe you can get an impact with all these people there.
Mm-hmm.
It's so different now, right? We can be precise, we can recruit, we can actually gain interest so much earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how it was back then. But for me, yeah, it was a shocker when like there's all of a sudden no opportunities.
Yeah.
Like, the world changed after 9/11, and literally, what do you do?
Yeah.
How do you get jobs? So. Yeah, it's an interesting process. But for me, I just needed to get in.
Mm-hmm.
It was always my attitude.
Yep.
Just get in. Once I'm in, I'll make it happen.
Just fake it till you make it.
Pretty much. My boss always says, act as if.
Act
My
as
mentor,
if.
yeah.
Act as if.
Act as if. Yeah, if you want it, just take it.
Love it. So throughout your time, did you have any mentors or anybody that helped you?
Oh, yeah. No, I'll tell you, I've got a couple that, like, changed my life. One is Tim Kaniskis was my boss for the better part, a little over a decade.
Okay.
He is, he's the godfather of the Hellcat. He was the CEO of Dodge. He took me under his wings. He promoted me like 9 times. I owe that guy a lot, and I learned a lot. I'm still learning from him all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So for me now to have really be in charge of my own brand in Jeep, and he's still the CEO of Ram today.
Mm-hmm.
So to have somebody that you look up to that had that kind of impact on your life and really showed you a certain level of discipline and attitude towards business, it was huge. And I was very lucky. And this is what I was talking about, of finding people that will take you under your wing. I had 6 people in a row that went on in the auto industry to be senior vice presidents or CEOs,
Okay.
all in a row.
Wow.
I would have never, ever got some of the learnings I had if I wouldn't have met and seen those people in action. And for me, it's all about seeing them, how they behave, their leadership, the way they approach business every day. So that's why I think finding people that are that instrumental and care about you will make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Where did you find those people?
Dumb luck, man.
Dumb
I'll
luck?
just tell you, dumb luck. Yeah, so when I was in Florida, and on behalf of Dodge, I was the local Dodge marketing manager.
Okay.
And I wrote a proposal on what was wrong with Dodge. And the old CEO had switched at the time, and the new one happened to get it on his desk. Just one of those dumb luck things.
Yep.
And he strangely was like, "What is this?" And it's like, "Oh, this kid in the field in the sales group wrote this thing about what was wrong with Dodge." And I weirdly got on this short interview list, and everyone's told me, "You will never get this job. You're going to fly to Detroit right now, and you're going to go meet Reed Bigland, and he's going to interview you." So I went in there with absolutely nothing to lose, said everything I ever wanted to say about what I thought, figuring I would just leave. Hopefully I didn't make a fool of myself. And 48 hours, he called me back and said, "You're now head of Dodge product for North America."
Wow.
I was just like, "Wait, what?" So that's how I got moved back to Michigan. And then we started having some fun with some Dodges. Started making some cool stuff.
Love it. Actually, with that being said, what keeps you passionate about the work you do at Jeep every day?
Look, for me, I've become very much aware that we're talking, this is a company of, let's call it 300,000 people that work here. There's tons of suppliers. So there are people that the food that goes on their plates every single day, a plant worker, a working person at CTC, whatever it might be, they survive on the cars that we sell. We keep plants running. At the end of the day, I mean, that's what I do, right? I get customers excited so they buy cars so I can build more cars to keep people working. Keeping Americans working every day and seeing what they go through to make sure that they got a check is all the motivation that you need. Exactly. You multiply that times the people that literally are Jeep nuts. They're just psychopath, passionate about the brand, the history, the military,
the
America. Yeah, right. It's all part of being Jeep. There's a lot riding on it, right? It means a lot to a lot of people that they identify with. So it's, I take that with a great deal of seriousness that I have to defend that point of view, that thing that means so much to them.
Absolutely. And with that being said, actually, do you guys have any tactics for those rubber ducks that people use on Jeep, or is that just a self-made marketing tool?
No, so look, the rubber ducks was started by a fan. I mean, that was somebody that started it and at Jeep events, and then we actually ended up taking a giant rubber duck and putting it down at one of the events, the Detroit Auto Show, and the thing now is rabid. So if you go sit in the parking lot, you might find a duck on your car, somebody that just kind of appreciates, your product and maybe what you've done to it at the events. But the Jeep's a deep passion point, and it's pretty fun to see people that are just excited about something that you do.
Yeah. Usually I see that when people own a Jeep, they own a Jeep and they love their Jeep with so much passion. Yeah,
and if something's wrong, they'll let you know. So it's we take that with a great deal of seriousness, and it's fun to be around. A Jeep event is unlike any other.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. So another question that I had for you. Is there anyone you'd like to especially shout out from Oakland University? Anybody that was a mentor for you, helped you out throughout your career?
I would say, look, I had some, my friends at that time frame, the people that were in that group, you had 6 of them from OU all stood up in my wedding.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I don't know, Jay Russ and Nick McGuire, and there was Steve Franey and all these guys.
Yeah.
The relationships I made here was life-changing for me, because I told you I went to a high school in my senior year. I didn't know anybody. You don't know what happens. Then you go to college and you make these connections that literally, they last a lifetime. So many friends from that era that I think that's who I would probably have the most impact, because we kind of battled through that time together. But there were so many professors that made a difference. I talked about the public speaking, So for me, the business classes and the comms classes, public speaking for one. Now that I get on stage and you got cameras on you and auto shows and all this stuff, I still go back to many of the principles that you learned. Just the energy and talking to the entire classroom and those things. It's the same discipline. Now there's just 1,000 people in the crowd instead of 30, but it's the same stuff. So I loved my time here. Absolutely loved it.
I think I love my time here too, so I'm glad we're on that same page. But I actually noticed something on your arm. It said last 10th.
My last 10th bracelet.
Do you want to tell the viewers what that is about?
So that's a good story. So my mentor, you mentioned earlier, Tim Kaniskis, he always talks. He has a couple of disciplines, a couple of life lessons that you have, and the last 10th we always talk about is the difference between really making something truly great, truly special, truly memorable. A lot of people do enough work to get an A. They'll get 90% at work, and or a job or a classroom, and they'll say, "Oh, I did a good job." And it is. The last 10th, that last 10%, that's the difference between being truly memorable Like, no one remembers an A.
Yeah.
No one.
Yep.
An A+, somebody that risked it all, put it all on the table and went for it and went big and watched it hit big.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones with legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So he started the last 10th. And, right now Stellantis has a lot of growing to do. We got a lot of areas to improve. So he handed out bracelets after the last speech that we just gave. And really the entire mantra at Stellantis right now is about the last 10th, that last little bit that makes the difference, that last little bit of quality, that last little bit of excitement. Mm-hmm. It's the details.
Yes.
So, and then you were picking on my LFG on the other side. So that's for the sales force. So you know what it stands for. But well, we'll leave that off the podcast today. But nonetheless, the place is fired up right now. There's a lot of people passionate about improving. Mm-hmm. So between really putting in that last little bit of effort and the tenacity to make a difference, that's what you're seeing in our company right now.
That's awesome. Another question that I had for you, real quick. So I know that you talked about you were on the hockey team.
I played some hockey, yes.
You had some hockey?
Yeah, it was the club team.
Okay.
But it got so big so quick that you had players in there that were just absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah.
And then it turned into what it is now, which is awesome.
Yeah. I think we have a D3 team, I think it is. D2?
Yeah, or D3? But you know better than me if they are now. But I mean,
it might be D1 at this point.
Yeah, it went from completely... honestly, I don't know.
Wow.
So what division there is. But yeah, no, it was literally the inception.
Wow.
A whole bunch of us it was literally started at roller hockey and then went to ice hockey and then it actually turned into a club.
Love it. I think they play at the Onyx, I think, a lot of the time. Suburban. So a lot of good places. Another question I had for you. So what is your best advice for current students looking to set themselves up for like post-success graduation?
Well, the biggest thing you can do during, I mean, obviously, okay, you got all your classes, all that stuff that's in front of you, but you want to go make connections and learn different industries so that you can figure out where you want to go. Yeah. Internships are incredibly helpful to go experience types of business, see businesses. Think about how many people that have, I don't know, a parent or a counselor or somebody in the school of business that might have a connection to say, hey, can I just come for a day and see your business? Can I just see what you do? So that you really understand. When I was a sophomore, I wanted to be an attorney. I wanted to be an attorney.
Okay.
So I went with someone to courtrooms. Like I wanted to see what attorneys actually do. And then outside the courtroom. And I found out I'd hate it. Yeah. I was like, there is no way I want to do this and just grind away reading books all day, every day and going through all these documents. I find cases fascinating. I still do. But I don't want to be I just wanted to be in the courtroom and the guy that's like, you can't handle it, you know? Yeah. That was kind of what I wanted to do, like the prosecutor. But no, I didn't. But for me, the advice would be, go look at different businesses. See where you might want to start. So that way you're like, okay, that's for me. I'm good at that. I would like that. Or I'm passionate about that. Maybe I want a career in that. Because once you get your business degree, there's so many more things you want to do. Yeah. Or so many places you can go. Or things that might inspire you to be a part of. It'll make a huge difference in your daily work.
Do you recommend all you students that have graduated to look for MBA possibilities? Or what could you do with like a bachelor's degree? What would you say about that?
You know, a master's degree is by no means bad. It's by no means bad. If depending on the job market and your opportunities, the way that I looked at it is there's so much debt associated with going to college potentially on where you go. Some colleges, I mean, can be very, very expensive. You're in massive debt. At the same time, all right, if you go to a company that believes in you and they've got good programs, they'll pay for your master's. So you just need to get in the door and start making money and start paying off your debt and start working through it. And you may be able to find programs like that, especially if you're having success. So it's not necessary to do it. Now, if you go to the master's program, yes, if you can get that done and you can have an accelerated sort of learning, you can very quickly actually command a higher salary. So it's really that value equation to me based on where you at in your life. Do you want to stay in college and continue to finish it? And do you have the resources to finish it? If you do, you can go get it, and it'll pay off for you long term. You can also command more when you first get out. And OU's already shown proof of you get your master's degree, you can command more, and you're more competitive in the marketplace. But at the same time, you could get in, get your degree, start making money, and you can. There's many, many flexible programs today, you know, like OU's, that you could get your master's degree and do it while you're working at the same time. So I think you just got to individually balance it out. It's not required to get a job. Like it's not. At the same time, yeah, it'll certainly help you. So I think it's just more of a financial situation and your energy level of how bad you want to get out there.
Awesome.
And the job market, right? I mean, if the job market's hopping and you can go go take one. Get
exactly.
in. Yeah, if it's definitely tougher, all right, maybe you want to stay and get your master's and keep doing something else and working it down.
Yeah. Well, if there's an opportunity, you should take it. That's always a good way to put it.
I agree completely.
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, this is the wrap-up time for this podcast. But I do have one quick question for you. If you could give a one-sentence piece of advice to all OU students, especially the School of Business students, what would you say to them, just in one sentence?
Oh, in one sentence. Let's see. Look, my advice to you, like, so if you're in the school of business, you're in your career path, follow things you are passionate about while also good at.
Okay.
People say, do what you love, chase what you love. Well, it doesn't. The more you do it, it doesn't necessarily always give you the living that you're looking for, or whatever. You want something that you'll enjoy. You're looking for a passion point. Yep. So I would say follow what you're passionate about while also good at it.
Awesome. All right. Well, you heard it here first, everyone. That was Bob Broderdorf. Thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure hosting you and hearing all about your background and your experiences and you as a person.
Right. Evan, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to come speak with you. And look, to all the Golden Grizzlies out there, go Grizzlies, and have a great year.
Grizzlies. Awesome. And for all of our viewers, make sure to stay connected through our social media, through our YouTube channel. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. And all of the links for all of our social media are in the description. Thank you guys, and we will see you on another episode of Grizz in Biz.